Hey guys, so this is part 2 of the Module 6 Expectations video series, and what we left off on was talking about the Milestone 3 paper, and I left off saying we were going to talk about the rubric to understand how to do the 3 sections of this paper. To recap, this is a 3-section paper where you discuss in Section 1 your topic, Section 2 your literature review, and Section 3 your research question and your hypothesis. So let's start with the rubric. Please take your rubric out, have it in front of you. Move along with me as I read the rubric. Now's a good time to pause the video and go get that situated, and then resume once you have it on screen or next to you to follow along. All right. So looking at the rubric, let's just go over some of the things that you are going to need in your paper. You're going to have a description of your general topic or the problem statement that you are researching. So you have already told me in past work what you want to look at and why. You're going to have an integrated discussion of the peer-reviewed existing research on your topic. Now what that means is you're going to have a paragraph or paragraphs that interweaving, that brings in all of those 8 articles or more that you have researched, and make it a conversational piece of the paper where your original lit review that you've done already kind of just broke out and displayed 8 or more articles with their abstract and a quick summary. What you're going to want to do is, now that you know the current research or the existing research, integrate all of it into a 1 to 2 or 3 paragraphs into a section, and tell me what's going on in the existing research of the topic that you've selected. So, if my idea is watching online videos in online courses helps students get better grades, and I did a lit review and I had 8 articles that found things related to it, now when I write this research lit review area of this paper, I'm not just going to state what articles and what they say, but I'm going to integrate all of it, and I'm going to have a conversation or a well-organized section that talks about what is currently going on, and I'm going to sort, I'm going to cite, I'm going to reference, and use all those sources. So you're going to, right off the bat, I should expect to see 8 or more sources in this paper, because you have already found 8 or more sources on your research topic. All right. The analysis of different research designs for their advantages and disadvantages. Evaluation of the appropriateness of the research designs to your research question and determination of the most appropriate design. What I'm trying to find there is, I'm trying to see, did you select the right type of approach of analyses for your research? So again, coming back, what is currently being done? What has been done? What kind of methods have they used? What are you going to use? Okay. Also, you're including what is unknown about the topic. All of this is integrated. Okay. This is why this is a paper that you're going to have to take your time on, and when we walk through the rubric, hopefully that's going to help you understand. The evaluation of the data analysis procedures used in the literature as they relate to APA's principles and standards. So relate APA standards to the procedures they use. Meaning, did they have informed consent? Did they have randomized samples? What went on in those studies? You're going to form a testable research question and a hypothesis. This is something you have done already. We're now just integrating and including all of our work to make and form this research proposal. Okay, so let's break into this rubric. Keep in mind, again, this paper is a 3-section paper. So the first critical element of the rubric has to do with the first section of this paper. Problem statement. Describes the general topic of the proposal and its importance and relevance to real-world issues. You've done this already in previous papers, so carry over, use my corrections, my recommendations, and improve upon what you have done prior, and this is what you're going to be putting in as your problem statement. Now this is the big part. Section 2 of this 3-section paper is the literature review. Notice on your rubric how much is encapsulated into the literature review. So let's take this one step at a time. Literature review. I'm reading from the exemplary column in the rubric for this paper. Existing research meets proficient criteria and provides an especially well-integrated discussion of the key themes of the articles. Let's back up to proficient. Summarizes existing applicable research utilizing peer-reviewed resources and attempts to do so in an integrated way. What this means is, again, you're going to take your 8 sources that you've already found, or more. I know some of you did more than 8 sources. And you're going, if you are trying to shoot for exemplary, you're going to have a well-written, well-integrated discussion. See, these words are important. A discussion, when the reader picks up your paper, they should be able to hear a voice of a flowing, well-integrated voice that is telling the reader about the current research that's being done on your topic. So what it says is well integrated of the key themes of the articles. So what were the key themes that you took away? And how does it relate? Literature review, content piece, research designs. Meets proficient criteria and provides specific, concrete examples of research designs utilized in previous literature. Keywords to take out of this: specific and concrete examples. That means you have to write down and give a specific, concrete example. Smith & Smith used the scientific method to test X, Y, and Z. That is detailed, it's explicit, it's concrete. That's how you're going to meet that level. Okay, moving on. Literature review, advantages and disadvantages. Meets proficient criteria and provides specific examples from the literature review of the advantages and disadvantages of research designs. So it tells me that section 2 of this big paper is going to have little subsections, okay? So backing up, you have section 1 is your intro. Section 2, which we're currently talking about, is your literature review. And then you have subsections of your literature review. You have existing research. You have research designs, the advantages and disadvantages, the appropriateness, all of these things. So organize is the big thing for this paper. Please practice and keep your work organized so it not only flows well, but it keeps your thoughts together and it allows you to effectively capture what you are trying to put on paper, and you also meet the rubric content. So let's get back into this. Advantages and disadvantages on the rubric. Provide specific examples from the literature of the advantages and disadvantages of the research designs. So first, find the research designs. Think about your topic. What's the advantage? What's the disadvantage of these research designs? Okay. Literature review, appropriateness. Demonstrates understanding of appropriate research design for a research question. That means I should be able to see that you are telling me that you understand whether or not a research design is appropriate for a research question. Okay? Let's look at proficient for that same category of appropriateness. Evaluates the appropriateness of the research design to the research questions and determines the most appropriate design, providing justification for each. So think about that. What you're doing in this piece is you're looking at your articles and you're looking at the research question they had, and you're looking at the research method that they used, or the research design, same thing. And you're thinking, is that appropriate? If so, why? If you think it wasn't appropriate, why? You got to tell me. Moving on to the literature review section, unknown. Meets proficient criteria and discusses key themes from the articles. Moving to proficient, summarizes what is unknown or uncertain about the topic, utilizing applicable research on the topic. So what that tells me is, what you're going to do in this section is, as you're reading your 8 or more sources that you're going to be using and citing and referencing, and putting in a reference sheet at the end of this paper, is you're going to talk about the things that are still unknown. Yes, people did studies, but what is still unknown about the topic? You know that 8 or more sources have been found, but what is still unknown? What did you get? And remember, you're doing this in an integrative way. So don't go and list 8 sources and you have 8 unknown topics. No, weave all this together so it comes together written well, and it has the ideas flow from one sentence to the other, and there's good transition between the writing. Okay. Principles and standards. Demonstrates keen insight into the APA's principle and standards as they apply to the data analysis. Let's look at a proficient for that category. Discusses the appropriateness of the data analysis procedures used in the literature as they relate to the APA principles and standards. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take your APA standards, look at what's been going on in your research, and relate it to APA standards. Okay, that's a straightforward, cut and dry piece. Okay, so that wraps up section 2 of this paper. That was pretty lengthy. It was very meaty. You may need to go back and watch this video again, or you may need to just take these one at a time. And now we're at our last piece, section 3. You can call this the research question. You can call this our research question and hypothesis. The name of the game is organization, clarity, consistency. So your research question. By now, you've already created a research question. You've already told me your hypothesis. So let's use those, clean them up, polish them. Research question. Creates an interesting research question that warrants further research. That's very straightforward. Remember in your research question, a good tip at this point is make sure your research question is clear, well written, concise, and to the point. A good research question always should be able to show one independent and dependent variable in the sentence. Let me give you an example. The research question, does fish oil have healing properties? Okay, so the independent variable is fish oil. The dependent variable is healing, or people reporting how they feel, healing properties. So whatever the question that you pick, make sure that's a good rule of thumb is you've written a good research question if you can spot variables in your research question. Okay. All right. Moving on, the last piece, the hypothesis. Provides concrete evidence supporting the research hypothesis. Now that's the exemplary category. Concrete evidence. That means it's infallible. It is written down with clarity, and it's highly understandable. Let's look at proficient. Creates a testable hypothesis based on the research question and research around the topic. Explain the extent to which the research supports hypothesis. Okay. So what you're going to do if you want to provide concrete evidence that supports the research hypothesis, that word concrete means put some sources in. That means cite your references. Use sources. If I have a question and I want to know, does watching videos online help students succeed in online courses? I'm going to want to give concrete evidence by citing existing research in my hypothesis section, saying, I believe that students who watch videos will do better academically in online courses. This is supported from Brandon and Smith, 2012, who conducted a study that showed students who used cell phones to watch videos, mobile, did perform better, etc. And the point there is you're using concrete evidence to support your hypothesis. All right, that was a lot to go over, but we've covered the milestone 3 paper. And this, now key word here says initial draft. You're taking all that you've done together thus far in the class, and you're trying to polish and make a research proposal, because in Psych 520, you're going to be carrying out that research. All right. I hope you found this informative, and remember this was part 2, so make sure you watched the first part as well. Take care.